Good day, everyone. Welcome back to I Don't Work Here Lady subreddit. See for yourself how outrageous other customers can be when they mistake you for an employee. The first story of today's video was posted by Katie Cakes. That's what they get paid to do. This story is from a few years ago. I was coming home from work but needed to stop at the wall of marts to grab a small item or two. Since I was coming from work, I had on my work uniform, a black v-neck top, and khaki pants, nowhere close to the uniform colors of this particular store. And since I was only grabbing a small item or two, I didn't bother to hassle with the cart or a basket. I was making my way down the aisles toward my shopping destination when, in front of me, a little boy around 8 was goofing around and knocked over an entire end cap display of items. The boy froze with a complete look of terror on his face. Being the Miss Westerner that I am, walked up to him and said, "Oh, that's an easy fix," with a smile. The little boy stuttered, "Thank you," still looking like he got caught robbing an entire bank vault. As I'm helping this little boy clean up the end cap items and place them back on the shelves, his mother came round the corner. She looked up and down at the scene in front of her, then looked up and down at me, sneering. She grabbed the boy by his arm, saying, "That's what they get paid for," as she dragged him away. The boy looked at me and mumbled, "Sorry." I tried to utter an "I don't work here," but the mom and her son were quickly out of earshot. I quickly placed the remaining items on the shelf, got my items, and got out. I never know what made that woman think I was working or why she would look down on a worker of a store she was currently shopping at, but I did feel bad for the kid. TLDR, tried to have a kid pick up knocked over items at the store I was shopping at, and his mom pulled him away, telling him that's what they get paid to do. Guys, back in the days when I was a little kid, I was once rearranging bread in the grocery store I worked at in high school. I was told to pull any moldy bread off the shelves and set it on the floor, and the bread delivery guy would take it back. I looked back and a toddler still in diapers, was putting it back on the shelf. It was so cute. Kids can learn to be helpful or they can turn into their parents. So people, when you have kids, make sure you don't turn them into future Karens and Kevins. Our next Reddit post was from SDR Leggy. "You don't have to be so rude." This happened about 7 years ago. I used to work for a retail pharmacy as a pharmacy tech, and so I wore slacks and blouses. Next door to my work was a large craft store chain. I am very artsy craftsy, so when I had extra time before work, I like to wander the craft store. One day, I, 23 female, was busy looking at some paints when a guy comes up to me and asks where a craft supply is. I'm not wearing the uniform or even the color scheme of the uniform of the store. I tell him that I don't work there and I don't know. It wasn't within my field of crafting, so I had no idea. He walks back down the aisle, then turns around sharply and points a finger at me aggressively. "You don't have to be so rude." I smile at him and tell him with a sugary sweet voice, "You don't have to be so stupid." Shut him up real quick and he walked away. Victory is sweet. Edit. Thanks for the love, everyone, and to the people who doubt me, why are you assuming I'm the rude one? My tone was calm and polite when telling him I don't work there, so I didn't know where his item was. I only go down the aisles that have my crafting supplies, so I legit did not know. He was the aggressor and I refused to be bullied. I had enough of that in school and I'm not going to put up with that as an adult. Not my fault, his ego was bruised by my initial polite response. I hope you can understand now. Guys, from my own point of view, I find the people who claim that someone else has been rude to them are frequently the most rude people on the planet. They are just blind to their own rudeness in a somewhat narcissistic way. Good job standing up for yourself and telling the guys to shut up. I love it. The next story of today's video was posted by Miss Molly Magpie. Angry customer with a plot twist. Oh, this sounds interesting. I've worked in the customer service for years and as you can imagine have suffered much abuse. I was in a gas station I did not work at and grabbed something I needed off the bottom shelf. I habitually pulled the next couple of items forward to make it easier for the next person to get to. Seeing this, a man assumed I worked there. He proceeds to start yelling. Yes, actually yelling at me about the price of the quarts of oil. Sarcasm is my second language, so I brightly say to him, "I'm sorry, sir. When I'm in charge of the prices, I'll be sure to get that changed for you and prepare for the backlash." To his credit and my utter amazement, he stops himself and says, "You're right. You have nothing to do with the prices and I apologize." I tell him no worries and let him know there's a box store down the street that would have lower prices. He said that that's okay and he was in a hurry, went to the cashier, made his purchase and thanked them, and then went on his way. I stood in shock for a moment. My faith in humanity temporarily restored. Still makes me smile when I think of him. Well, that's not the twist I was expecting, but it's nice to see people treat each other nicely like this. Indeed, my faith in humanity has been restored. And I guess sarcasm is the one way to save the earth. Moving on to the next story posted by Mikabra. My new number used to belong to on-call nurse. When switching jobs, I received a new phone and number. Immediately, I started getting phone calls where people started talking about medical problems. Not too frequently, but on average a call a week. First, I thought it was the wrong number, but then I asked what number they called, and it indeed was my number. It seems this number was for the on-call nurse, written down in many places, everything from patients to healthcare institutions. When I understand the situation, I try to explain to people calling that this number is no longer is for the on-call nurse, and please erase it from where they found it. After getting a call from a confused older man with a hard of hearing, I figure out I need to try to get to the source of this. I contact the main branch of the regional healthcare in that region. We have public healthcare, and ask them to do something about this. Perhaps send out a bulletin to get everybody to remove this number. I get a response from the person responsible for telephony that, oh, we have followed our guidelines and this number has been in quarantine for 6 months and that's that. I then respond that I'm getting calls and people telling me sensitive information and they need to act on it. Get a response back with nope. I then ask them if they think local newspaper journalists would be interested in what's going on and perhaps I should contact them. After 2 to 3 days, I get back a reply from someone else, not the telephony department, saying they'll look into it. The call rate slowly starts to die down and I had that number for 5 years, and I think in the last 3 years, I only received 1 or 2 calls in total. Amazingly, it takes threats to get people to do the right thing. Guys, I'm truly surprised at how common this happens to people. If you happen to have similar stories, feel free to share it in the comment section. Our next story of today's video was posted by Duckfin with the title, I guess I'm the Pokemon master now. This happened back when I was a kid. I, 16 female, and my brother, 13 male, have been crazy into Pokemon since it came out. We grew up with it. Back then, Toys R Us used to host official Nintendo-sponsored Pokemon League events each Saturday morning from 9 a.m. to noon, and we always went. My brother and I even started showing up early to help the organizer, a designated Toys R Us employee, in setting up. Let's call him Mario. It was easy. Go into the back employee-only room, grab tables, chairs, pens, promo cards to pass out, badges to award, and new badge books for the newcomers. Now, Mario didn't know the first thing about Pokemon, but my brother and I were super used to the league from when we attended at card shops, so we let him know what was what when he didn't know what to do. He quickly just pushed more and more of the tasks onto me. FYI, I was happy to take on the duties. Pretty soon, my brother and I were kinds of running the event and he disappeared for most of the 3 hours. No one seems to notice or care though, since I was doing a great job and all the kids were having a great time. Also, I was damn near unbeatable, and in the world of card games, that makes you the boss. That's just how it works, lol. My brother and I noticed that Mario hadn't shown up in like 3 weeks. Not that we cared, we just went into the back room by ourselves, carried the tables and chairs out, passed out the promo card to each attendee, stamped their badge books, presided over matches, gave awards, etc. Then, at noon, cleaned up, took the tables and chairs back, neatly stacked, and hung around until our mom came to pick us up. So, on the 3rd week after noticing that Mario hadn't shown up, another employee, let's call him Rex, finds my brother and me as we're putting stuff away and asks, are you the one that have been running the Pokemon thing the last few weeks? Yes, we answer, and you can visibly see a look of oh crap on his face, like he wasn't sure what to do now. So he stands there thinking for a bit and then asks, how old are you? 15, I answer. Okay, don't go anywhere. He leaves and comes back and gets basic info from me, like name, address, etc. Bless my naive little heart, I answer everything. Then we leave. Next Saturday, business as usual. The following Saturday, Rex shows up after we get done putting away all the stuff and hands me an envelope. Inside is a paycheck for like $130. It was back paid for all the hours I had worked. Turns out, Rex was the manager and he'd been getting so many compliments from the parents about their employee that runs the Pokemon League, that he'd been trying to find that employee for weeks, but all his employees kept saying, "It's not me." It was a complete mystery to everyone how the tables and chairs were being put out and being put back and who was running the event. Remember, my brother and I was just another pair of kids in a crowd of 25 plus kids, ages 6 to 30 of random players. As far as the Toys R Us staff was concerned, it was a ghost running the events. And that's how I accidentally got my first job, because parents just assumed I worked there and the manager ran with it. LOL. Oh, as for Mario, I never found out what happened to him, but I never saw him again. And also, to this day, 38, I still have it in my resume that my first job was as a Pokemon master. Strange thing is, not a single employer has ever questioned it, and I've gotten some pretty high level jobs, so shucks. That was the coolest first job ever, and I'm glad you get paid for it. The following story was posted by Moses Manon. No, I really don't work here, but try me anyway. Today I had that experience again. Don't know why, but it happens a lot. Someone thought I was working where I was shopping. I was in a liquor store pacing the aisles for a bottle of adult juice. I'm not a goth person, but I like dressing in black. Shoes, jeans, leather jacket, and mask, all black. All employees in the said store were wearing red/maroon jackets. When I browsed what they had on their shelves, this older woman, I guess in her late 70s, came over to me, looked at me, and asked in a really soft but still disappointed tone, "You don't work here, do you?" I replied that I sure don't, but can I be of any assistance? She told me that she needed a bottle of a certain brand and couldn't find it. "Getting old is hard," she said. "My eyes aren't good as they once were." "Of course I'll help you," I replied. "That would be my pleasure." I had a look, browsed up and down and side to side, but I couldn't find it. "That's okay," she said. "I wanted this for my son, but they might not have it in stock as it's kinda expensive and special." "Hang on," I told her. "I asked someone who does work here. They might have a look on their computer and check their stock on it." So I went over to the till and asked the man sitting comfortably on his chair and asked him. He looked it up and told me that yes, they had one bottle in stock. But that probably wasn't the one I was looking for because it was an extra special edition and extra expensive. Then he pointed toward where it should sit on the shelf. He couldn't leave his till, of course, because of the customer flow. I went over to where he pointed and grabbed the bottle and showed it to the sweet old lady and told her what I just had been told, and she brightened up. It was exactly the one she was looking for and she was very happy. I told her the price for it and she nodded confirmingly. "That sounds about right." She thanked me profusely and said yet again that she was sorry for having to bother me, and I told her that actually this made my day. These days I hardly talk to anyone and helping out someone as nice as her was a pleasure. Then we went to the till and paid and went our separate ways. I could not see her smile because of her mask, but I'm sure she had one. At least I had one. Sorry for the lack of juicy parts and mad Karens, but this interaction with well-behaved and humble old lady made me believe in humanity again. Indeed it did. I don't need a Karen freakout. This was great. The only way to defeat Karens once and for all is to be kind to one another. Right guys? Now to the last story of today's video, posted by Redless Dragon. My last day at work was a wonderful day. This happened several years ago, but it still stays in my memory as what was my best last day on the job ever. I was a department manager at a major toy store that went out of business in the early 90s. The customers were horrible. I was starting to hate the job. I was trying to decide to stay or go, and if I left, what to do next. I decided to join the military and had several months before I was due to report. I decided to work until just before the holidays, then enjoy a nice holiday season with my family. We had one customer who was a real nasty witch. She routinely brought our teenage employees to tears, but the store manager would not allow us to trespass on her. We appealed to corporate and they stated that she could only trespass if she assaulted someone. My last day finally arrives and we are short-handed, and I ended up staying late when the store manager failed to show up on time to relieve me. To say I was pissed was a major understatement. He finally showed up 4 hours later. I clocked down and headed for the door. I was still wearing my store shirt and I turned the corner and there she was. The customer from hell. She had cornered our sweetest teenage cashier and Katie was crying. I was done. I yelled at her to get the hell away from her. She spun on me and stomped towards me, yelling, "Who the hell do you think I am?" I told her I was tired of her crap and she was going to leave the kids who work in this store alone, that she needed to pick on someone her size. We ended up nose to nose, yelling at each other. I just went off. I told her everything I always wanted to say to a customer. I honestly don't know how long we were yelling at her, but then she did it. She shoved me and then tried to punch me. I blocked the punch and took her to the ground. I told Katie to call the police, and after they viewed the video and saw that she had assaulted me, she has trespassed from the store. I told the police I wanted to press charges, and as the police started to walk her to the front of the store, I got on the loudspeaker and told all the employees to get to the front of the store. They rushed up, in time to see her in cuffs being led out by the police. I yelled over the loudspeaker that she formally trespassed. Merry freaking Christmas. She yelled back that she was calling corporate and would get me fired. The last thing she heard as she went out the front door was me yelling, "Good luck with that. I don't work here, lady." Other employees told me when I came to pick up my last check that it was awesome to watch. People, given that the manager showed up 4 hours late on OP's last day, I said he was definitely a failure as a manager and at being decent human being as well. No surprise stuff like this happened in his store. And that brings me to the end of our video today. Hope you reach your eargasm with rKush. Good day, everyone.